Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Dr. Arnold Nerenberg. I've been a clinical psychologist licensed to practice in the state of California for over 47 years. I've been in the profession over 50 years. It's truly my pleasure to be here with you. Oh, I should mention I've been on the earth for over 80 years. So I bring to you all the experiences of a lifetime, personal experiences, seeing things with my patients, my people, professional, personal experiences to bring to you my understanding about life, and with the intention of uplifting you for the rest of your life and helping your descendants, your children, and your loved ones for the rest of their life. That's my intention today. The title of today's presentation is Trauma from Betrayal. Trauma from Betrayal. And we're talking primarily about two kinds of betrayals. One is a sexual betrayal and the other is financial betrayal. So it has long-lasting consequences, can affect somebody for years, decades, the rest of their lives. The impact from sexual and financial betrayals, which most people, unfortunately, have such encounters during their lifetimes. Now, there's two parts to that. There's where we've been betrayed, and then there's cases where if we've betrayed others. So we're going to talk about how to prevent betraying others and recovering from the trauma of being betrayed. There are people who have been betrayed who make a decision to trust nobody or to get revenge on other people. There are people, like I'm thinking of one female patient I had. She had her husband cheat on her, so she went and betrayed men for many years later, with the idea of breaking their hearts. And you have men who want to hurt women because they've been betrayed by the woman and their love of their life. So you have people who have been betrayed, they're hurt, they're traumatized, and then they deal with it by hurting other people. You have people who have been betrayed financially, and then and they'll betray others financially. So a lot of times that's the issue, is not being the betrayer. Now, when I'm talking about betrayal, I'm talking about real betrayal, where somebody really has had sexual relations outside the marriage, outside the relationship, or has really stolen money from us. But also just as real is perceived betrayal, even if it didn't happen. Let's say there are many cases where a husband or wife thinks the spouse cheated and they didn't. But that can go on for a long time. They're convinced that the person cheated on them. And all the symptoms of a trauma take place. It can go on for years. It's not as likely to happen in a financial one, but it can. I'm thinking of a case financially where a man was given a 15% in the business. He didn't put any money into it. Then he wasn't doing anything for a number of years. And so the partner said, hey, can you give back that 15% or get involved? Well, he felt betrayed. He felt he's being betrayed because he's asked to give back the 15% if he's not going to do anything. So he really felt tremendously hurt. And I don't think he ever got over it, even though it wasn't the betrayal. So a perceived betrayal or an imagined betrayal has the same trauma as a real betrayal. So you have a lot of those perceived betrayals that are imagined. As a matter of fact, in that case, which I'm very familiar with, he turned against his partner because of that. And so he really betrayed the relationship by turning against him because he thought he was somehow betrayed. His attitude was, I trusted you, I didn't put it in writing, and now you're asking for me back. Well, of course, it was predicated on him doing something, but that didn't enter into it. He felt entitled to it. Using that as an example, so people betray others because they've been betrayed or they think they've been betrayed. Or you have somebody who their spouse has been faithful, but they think their spouse wasn't, and so they have an affair, because they thought they were being betrayed. Happens a lot. So we're going to be talking about two parts: recovering from being betrayed, the trauma, and then also not to betray. And keep in mind, if you feel betrayed, you're much more inclined to betray, and that's not an honorable way to go. So we're going to be talking about the way of honor and as a way of dealing with the trauma betrayal trauma. I thought I invented this area. Well, I didn't. It turns out that it's been around for a while. I never even heard of it. Usually you hear about trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder, where somebody's life was threatened in a car accident or in wartime, or sexual trauma in early childhood through molestation or abuse. Those lead very long-lasting effects. Those are the common when we think about trauma. But the most common one is betrayal trauma. Many more people have that than post-traumatic stress disorder or the other type of trauma. Now, certainly, to get over feeling betrayed or feeling exploited, there are a number of derivatives. So we have the 4 commandments of honor. I'm going to talk about the whole honor system and the derivatives from some of the commandments of honor. You have the 4 commandments of honor, which are also called the 4 principles of honor or the 4 self-commandments of honor. I call them commandments because we're commanding the honor within ourselves to arise in the consciousness in terms of thought, word, and action. And we're defining honor as loyalty to your highest constructive values as enshrined in the 4 commandments of honor, while striving to cause no harm emotionally and physically. So to be honorable, then you feel hurt, but then you strive to cause no harm physically or emotionally to other people. That's key to the way of honor. You're going to see all the benefits and how this ties in. So the 4 commandments of honor, the 4 most powerful thoughts in the universe are these. I wish you well. I take full responsibility for co-creating my reality and my problems. I'm grateful for the power I gain from hardship. And then one of 2. Either you don't believe in God or you don't want to address God. I seek always to serve my highest values. But if you do believe in God, as I do, God, your wish is my only wish. And then, of course, to really internalize this, it's very important to just hearing it is not enough. You have to make a lifetime pledge to doing it 3 times a day for this system to really take hold in you and to change your life for the better. So the pledge goes this way. As a disciple of honor, I pledge myself for all the days of my life to the 4 commandments of honor, and I'll teach them to those I love. I'll repeat them every morning, afternoon, and evening, and listen to myself recite them. Tell people, welcome to the way of honor. You bring honor to yourself, to your family. Then you want to maximize the probability of applying it by using what I call a bridge from honor to reality. And the bridge is this. What's the most honorable thing to think, say, and do? So you do the 4 commandments of honor, follow with the bridge. So for me, it will be this. God, your wish is my only wish. I wish you well. I take full responsibility for co-creating my reality and my problems. I'm grateful for the power I gain from hardship. What's the most honorable thing to think, say, and do? Then for those who want to go to a more elite, higher level of honor, become a devotee of honor, where they agree to repeat the supremacy of honor code at least once a day, that pledge goes this way. As a devotee of honor, I pledge myself all the days of my life to the supremacy of honor code, and I'll bring it to the world for a more just society. I say, welcome to the more elite levels of honor. The supremacy of honor code is this: honor before pride, honor before anger, honor before sex, honor before money, honor before fear, honor before everything, honor before life itself. So you have the ingredients there for dealing with being betrayed. Let's take, I'm grateful for the power I gain from hardship. So we've been betrayed financially or sexually, and we realize we're going to be stronger from this. We have more wisdom. It hurts. Let me say, that betrayal hurts, no question about it. It's painful. It could last a long time. But if we're grateful for the power, what kind of power are we getting from it? Well, it gives us more wisdom. There's no such thing as wisdom without suffering. Wisdom. Also, compassion for others who are going through it. So I'm grateful for the power I gain from hardship. Now, there are 2 derivatives from that what I call the warrior's commandment of honor. One is, I'll come back stronger than ever. So that's one way of dealing with the trauma. I'm going to come back stronger than ever. And the other derivative of the warrior's commandment of honor is, what's the best true story I can tell myself about this problem? Let me give you an example of one of my patients. He came in, a big, tough, strong-looking guy. He was a roughneck, worked in the oil fields, made a lot of money. Came in, just really, you could see he wanted to cry, was locked up. He said, Doc, I've lost everything. My wife left me for another man. So there you have betrayal. Right there. She took my children. I haven't seen my children in 3 months. More loss. I was so stressed out I couldn't keep up the payments on my house. I lost my house. I lost everything. So after I became a disciple of honor, I said, well, now consider this. What if I told you there's a healing medicine that will give dignity, nobility, and honor to your life? He said, really? What would that be, Doc? I said, you ready for the healing medicine? He said, yes, I am. Here it is. I've lost everything, but I've gained myself. I've lost everything, but I've gained myself. His face went from looking like he wanted to cry to, I have gained myself. His whole face light up, his eyes, his lips, his cheeks. I did gain myself. Walked out, said to the secretary, I've lost everything, but I've gained myself. Well, there you have it. The trauma, the betrayal trauma that he had was lifted right then. Now, whether he sunk back in at times or not, I don't know. But it lifted then, and he certainly had the tools for staying out of that trauma, from the betrayal trauma, because he gained himself. So there's always a gain in whatever the loss is. Whatever the betrayal is, whether it's financial or sexual, there's always a gain. Now, when you talk about the betrayal, it's horrible. It's traumatic. No denying it. But it's only half the story. The other half of the story, what did I gain? Maybe it was better to get that person out of your life. Or at least you found out now what they're really like. Whatever it is, you'll find a gain. What's the best true story I can tell myself about this problem? So that's a way of dealing with the trauma. Of course, then, if it's financial, you might need to take legal steps to prosecute the person criminally or civilly. I mean, we deal with it honorably, but at the same time, we need to, it needs to be addressed. The injustice needs to be addressed. So you have, now the other part we could do is say, I take full responsibility for co-creating my reality and my problems. We can at least ask the question, did I co-create this? You know, a lot of times in a relationship, when there's a financial or sexual betrayal, a lot of times there were signs, red flags. It usually doesn't come out of nowhere, and we didn't want to pay attention to it. There were red flags that this person's not totally on the up and up. And so we have some responsibility because we turned away from it instead of, dealing with it. I've been there. I think we've all been there. We didn't want to deal with the red flag. So as a matter of honor, one way to prevent yourself from betraying is just being loyal to your values, loyal to your values of honor. Honor being loyalty to your highest constructive values, as enshrined in the 4 commandments of honor, while striving to cause no harm physically or emotionally. Now, and following this, now, any situation you're in, somebody has done something to you, violated you sexually, betrayed you, or financially, the desire for revenge is pretty strong. But it's not honorable. So you go, what's the most honorable thing to think, say, and do? If you're married, you divorce the person. If they've stolen from you, you prosecute them civilly or criminally. At the same time, you want to strive to wishing them well. Now, if it's a good one of the laws of honor, there's 4 commandments of honor, but there's 25 laws of honor. One of the laws of honor is, I release you to your destiny, and I wish you well. I release you to your destiny, and I wish you well. See, you don't want to be tied in a negative way to the person. I release you to destiny, and I wish you well. I mean, I'm going to have to sue you or do whatever, but I release you to your destiny, and I wish you well. That's the direction you want to go in. Now, the negative thoughts when you've been betrayed, however emotionally or physically violent they are normal. It's just wired into you genetically or based on your family upbringing, societal norms. Don't worry about that. You're not responsible for those thoughts and those feelings. Totally normal. However, the path of honor requires balancing it with an honorable thought. So you get this thought, I just really like to really hurt this person back. I really would. I wish you well. Now, when you say I wish you well, it's not nearly as strong as a desire for revenge, not even close. But you've done your job as a person of honor, as a disciple of honor, as a man of honor, as a woman of honor. I wish you well. Wishing them well doesn't mean you hope they get away with a crime or you're happy they betrayed you. No. It just means that you hope they find honor in their lives. That's what it means. You're not hoping they win the lottery. When you say, I wish you well, you're really hoping they find honor and repent for their wrongdoing. Now, if you've been the betrayer, if we've been the betrayer, we've all betrayed to varying degrees. One statement is this to live by. I have not always lived with honor, but I will die with honor. I have not always lived with honor, but I will die with honor. So for whatever wrongs we've done, if we make that resolution, that's the good that's come out of it, is that we're going to die with honor. We're not going to continue that lifestyle. Whatever wrongdoings we've done sexually or financially, it just increased our resolve to go the way of honor. It's usually suffering that drives a person to seek higher values. You're just comfortable and happy all the time. You don't seek these things, but pain and suffering drives us to it. I've not always lived with honor, but I will die with honor. So the key that we have, I've talked to you about how to deal with being betrayed sexually or financially, and then how not to be a betrayer. The way of honor is really the way of doing both, to deal with the trauma of being betrayed and then making sure we don't betray others and cause them trauma. We don't want to cause more trauma in this world. There's plenty of it now. So heal our own trauma and not cause trauma to others through betraying them. So that's the title of today, is Trauma from Betrayal. And I'm going to ask who has any comments or questions. It's been a very important subject. Jay, anything you want to say or ask?
Hey, I think we've all been betrayed to some extent.
Yes, we've all been betrayed.
It's all a matter of how you react. But, I mean, I've been very fortunate, but I have been betrayed financially, but not to a large extent. So I just kind of read about it,
Well, there are definitely different degrees. There are definitely different degrees of betrayal. Most people, when you mention betrayal, they right away think of how they've been betrayed, which is natural. But also, the other side, I was thinking how we've betrayed in whatever ways that we've done it. That's where the growth comes from. Certainly, we've been betrayed. But we look honestly, we'll see we've betrayed at different times in our lives in varying degrees, hopefully not too severely. Good comment, Jay. Thank you.
So that betrayal goes two ways, I mean, I suffer from depression because of the betrayal I inflicted on my family. I mean, unfaithful to my,
Yeah, so you feel you're suffering from betrayal from the trauma that you gave to your family, betrayal. That shows you have a conscience. There are many people who betray who don't even want to acknowledge they betrayed. So you made a big step there. Of course, the statement for you is, I've not always lived with honor, but I'll die with honor. So you take that betrayal and then you make a resolution. I've not always lived with honor, but I'll die with honor. And that means good comes out of the bad. Then something good came out of it. You make that resolution to live totally the way of honor. A lot of times it's people who have been dishonorable in life who become the most honorable. They've seen the karma, the consequences. If someone's betrayed you, believe me, they've betrayed before and they'll betray again, and they're going to suffer terrible consequences. The consequences, known as karma, is horrible. It's coming. Unfortunately, I mean, they will get trapped in their own web if they've stolen from you or been disloyal to you or sexually. That's pretty severe karma goes with that, only because number one, know this. The people who betray you financially or sexually, guess what? They're punished immediately. You know how? They can't trust anybody. Why? They can't trust it. You know what it's like to live in a world of not trusting anybody? Why? Because they project on themselves. They project who they are onto others. They know they've betrayed, so they figure you're going to betray or you're going to betray. They can't trust anybody. What a punishment built right into the psyche. Those who betray cannot trust others. That is severe consequences built right into the psyche through the mechanism of projection. Good comment. Anybody else have any comments or questions that you want to make?
You always hear that saying, to treat others how you want to be treated.
Yes.
Right? That really you can really fall short on that one, because you mean, some people's level of respect is pretty close to zilch.
Well, yeah, that's true. The golden rule of do unto others as our brothers do unto you. I mean, here's what you need to know about betrayal. People rationalize it. So if they've been sexually unfaithful or they're stealing from you, believe me, they feel that they try to justify it. They say, well, I'm having an affair because I don't get any attention. You're never there. You're gone all the time. You don't pay any attention to me, so I had to seek companionship somewhere else. So they've justified it. Or if they steal from you, they say, well, you were underpaying me. I was underpaid, so I was just taking my share. Believe me, every betrayer justifies what they're doing. That's a fact. Very few of them say, I'm doing something really wrong. They might have that feeling because they know right from wrong. Most people know right from wrong and deliberately choose wrong over right and then justify it. If they don't understand the way of honor, that's where we go as human beings. If we understand the way of honor, then we don't go there. Because we put honor before everything. We put honor before money, honor before sex, honor before pride. As a devotee of honor, part of the Supremacy of Honor Code, that's the value system. That's the priorities. And that's where you want to go, where you're putting honor before everything. What somebody's done to you, that's shame on them. But we don't want to be doing it to others because that's shame on us. Any other comments or questions? These are all great comments.
I just think that sometimes you're caught up in a cycle of this type of negativity when you belong in a relationship, and you have to just step outside of that cycle and do the honorable thing, and
many people caught in a negative cycles in a relationship. Very common, goes on often, and then the question is, what's the most honorable way to deal with this? What's the most honorable thing to think, say, and do? I can tell you this. I'll tell you what I can't promise and what I can promise. I can't promise you're not going to be betrayed. I can't promise you're not going to get hurt by betrayal. Can't promise that. What I can promise you is you follow my guidance and you'll deal honorably with it. That is doable. That we're going to suffer in life, it's going to happen. But by following a way of honor, you'll minimize how long that suffering goes on. You'll minimize how long it goes on and you'll deal honorably with it. That is doable. 100% doable from the principles that I gave you. It's been my pleasure. Yeah, go ahead, please.
it gives you back your self-control.
That's what it's about. He's saying it gives you self-control. But you have to repeat, you have to know this. You have to say the 4 commandments of honor 3 times a day with the bridge. And for those who want to go even further, to say the Supremacy of Honor Code at least once a day. The repetition is preparation for application. The repetition is preparation for application. If you don't do it 3 times a day, you just hear me give this lecture today, very nice, but it won't have any effect on you at all unless you're repeating it. It's very effective?
Yes, if you do this, I'm not kidding. You do this 3 times a day. It is very effective. I was doing it once a day. Nothing was going on. I do it in the morning. But I'll tell you, when I started doing it 3 times a day, it has a bigger effect. Changes your life. It really does. Changes your life, for sure.
Changes your life. Michael, that was a great comment. Jay, great comment. Changes your life. 3 times a day, because, I mean, once a day is a lot better than 0. But 3 times a day, you're always ready. You're ready for something to come up and to deal with it then, because it's right at the tip of your tongue. It's sort of like if you're training for combat, you don't just go to the rifle range, once a week. You need to train regularly. There are people in World War II that never even fired a shot because they weren't trained enough on it. They didn't shoot enough. They weren't cocking and get the cartridge in the rifle. Because under stress, the betrayal, the stress is going to come out of left field. Mostly you didn't expect it. It comes that way, and you could just be reacting. But when you're, as a disciple of honor, a devotee of honor, you're going to apply the honor principles, and you're more likely to. And if you slip up, and then you see you've slipped, as soon as you notice you're not following it, you repent, whether it's apologize or whatever, and you get back on the path. Well, it's been my pleasure and my privilege, honestly, to have this opportunity to speak with you and to present this and to share our conversations together. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm grateful.
Thank you, Doctor.
You're welcome. You're welcome, everyone.